Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the AI generative artist known as Arnulf Stolz. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the Dreamcore aesthetic. We're also going to look at the phenomenon known as visual rhythms, so just jump right into it. So at first sight, of course, we see a endless series of houses going far into the distance. This is in a massive field here. Is no doubt a very strange introduction to this even surreal piece here. Of course, it feels like we've stumbled upon this site, right? Our perspective kind of hovers up and we look down upon this site. It is no doubt very strange. There is also a division in space, right? We have, of course, one side and we have this space on the other. Both are quite dark. And of course, we see what appears to be either a sunset or a sunrise in the far distance there. You may also notice a sense of pace here, right? The placement of each house, one after another, into the far distance, that creates a phenomenon known as visual rhythm. Visual rhythm gives a sense of energy to the composition at hand, and of course, it also directs the eye through kind of a, I wouldn't say implied lines, but it is a different phenomenon, of course, visual rhythm. You also see, colors within this composition. The base is going to be blue and green here. Of course, green is going to be the most deepest base, but upon that, we have this very light blue upon these houses there. There is a bit of orangish pink and red as well. That red door kind of pops out of nowhere. Of course, this does kind of feel a bit rare, and it does draw your eye within the composition. I wanted to ask you guys, how do y'all feel when you view this composition, or what comes to mind when you're first viewing this work? Of course, the setting of the scene is this really massive open field. It's hard to see exactly where we are. It's kind of reminiscent of Europe in a way, but regardless, the setting here is hard to pin down with any set certainty. But regardless, it is quite vast, right? There is a sense of emptiness to this composition. Even though there are so many different houses, they are evenly spaced. There's no sign of life or no sign of people within the composition at hand. Even the houses themselves, they don't necessarily emit light. It's almost like there is a light shining upon them, although it's hard to say for sure. But these houses could be a symbol of suburbia, right? The suburbs being an area where people live separately, of course, outside the city to try and escape those extremely crowded living conditions. But the suburbs are also quite sterile as well, right? They're extremely safe, even sheltered to the point of a fault. And at the same time, there is a sense of individualism that comes with the suburb as well, for better or for worse. Of course, there's two different ways to look at that pretty much in every situation. But we also see, these houses, they really feel like a wall dividing one space from the other there. Although both sides are quite dark, they almost remind me of soldiers standing guard in the night. And of course, when we look at this, you could see a metaphor for society, right? Each individual house is separated, that sense of individualism, that sense of kind of locking yourself away, just kind of being isolated in that sense as well. And you're likely going to cite this as the Dreamcore aesthetic, right? It is unsettling, does bring in elements of suburbia as well that we often see in the Dreamcore aesthetic. So that mix of a slight sense of nostalgia, that sense of childhood suburbia, and a sense of the unsettling, pretty characteristic of the Dreamcore aesthetic here. And the original artist actually has some additional works that are quite reminiscent of the original work here. I'm going to bring that in real quick. We're going to look a little bit more at Arnulf Stolz's pieces. Alright, so I brought in two additional works, both from the original artist Arnulf Stolz, to talk a little bit more about the original work today. Of course, the work on the right is most reminiscent of the piece that we see before us. I believe this is part of the same exact series here. You see these suburban houses stretching far into the distance on a massive green plain. We'll look at the work on the left, for example, is much more reminiscent of the suburbs, but in all three instances, you have the sense of visual rhythm. That is the placement, creating a sense of energy or a pace within the composition at hand. I think we certainly see that in both the works, especially compared to the original one we're studying today. However, the work on the left here really catches my eye. There are just so many houses. They are monotonous. They're all the same as well. There's this cookie cutter nature to them. So even though there is a sense of individualism that we talked with the original composition at hand, there's also a sense of, being copied one after another. There is a sense of not being unique in that aspect as well. I think you could talk a little bit more about that as well. But of course, the one on the left certainly draws my eye. It feels quite unsettling. Just how many suburban houses are the exact same, but at the same time, they all seem quite crowded as well. They move to the suburbs to escape the city, but eventually you could be living in just as crowded conditions. So I just want to bring in two additional works to talk a little bit more about Arnulf Stolz and this series that he's been exploring quite a bit. So, of course, I just had that realization, the suburbs, even though there is this sense of individualism, being alone, separating yourself or isolating yourself, at the same time, there are these cookie cutter or copied houses, so there is a play between the collective and the individual. I think that's pretty interesting to explore, but like I said, people are likely to cite this as a Dreamcore aesthetic. I think that's incredibly important here, and at the end of the day, one could even cite this as, order against chaos or society against the wilderness and the night and the dangerous unknown. But regardless, I want to ask you guys, what do y'all see when you view this composition, or what do you think the symbolism of this work may be? The work before us is an AI generative artwork, so it's created using an AI art program. That is going to be Midjourney. Midjourney is an incredibly powerful and very popular program as well. I know a lot of people would love to create a Midjourney. Everyone from amateurs to professionals are using Midjourney to create their artwork. So if you want to get involved in the world of AI art, Midjourney is going to be an amazing place to start. But really hope you'll enjoy today. We talked about so many different things, from the sense of visual rhythm to the composition, the sterility of suburbia, the isolation and sheltered nature of the suburbs. We talked about this, strange setting as well. We talked about so many different things today. I really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all enjoyed, go check out the original artist Arnulf Stolz. But yeah, like I said, that's all I really have for today. I do apologize, my voice, I am sick at the moment, but I wanted to get back into it. So this video may be a little scattered, but if it is, I truly apologize. But really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all enjoyed this work, go check out the original artist. Once again, that was Arnulf Stolz. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.